GPS with Kenwood Mike Power Cord, many tubes and parts. Prices are negotiable, cash only. Pickup available in Cincinnati. If you're interested, contact W8 Mike Delta Mike at yahoo.com. Again, that's Whiskey 8 Mike Delta Mike, yahoo.com. Or you can call Jim at 513-364-1454 for more information or photographs. Alright, two more to go here. Yeah, let me identify. This is WBREI. This is the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Just going through the Ohio section swap shop. A lot of good stuff up here this week. Alright, ham radio items for sale from the estate of W8 Papa November, Hal Brashwitz. A Kenwood TS940S transceiver, $400. A Kenwood SP940 speaker, that goes with that radio. He has a Collins 74A-4 receiver, $350. He's got a Hammerlawn HQ140 transceiver, $75. And a Johnson Viking 2 AM transmitter, $75. Now he has the serial number for just about every one of those radios. He's also got DX Engineering vertical antenna, 43 foot. It's equivalent to the MFJ 2990, $200. By the way, that antenna is huge. DX Engineering HF antenna, mounting tilt pivot base, the DXE Victor Alpha base is used, $125. And an MFJ 994 BRT tuner, auto remote, 600 watts, 1.8 to 30 megahertz. It's used, $350. Everything used, some of it's dusty, as is, untested condition, except for the TS940S. Pictures are available. Arrange meeting location for the items. Payments via cash, USPS money order, or bank certified check. Any shipping is extra. Interested, contact Glenn, Alpha Foxtrot 8 Charlie. His email address is his call sign, Alpha Foxtrot 8 Charlie at ARRL.net. There's the last one we'll put in here, the Yaesu 991A. It's new in the box, never been on the air, originally purchased from R&L Electronics. The radio does HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 440, has all warranty cards, all packaging. It's never been opened. Purchased during the COVID for the POTUS station. He's asking $950. Currently, the new prices are $1,259 to $1,495 from the dealer. So, if you're interested, contact Stephen Harvey, November 8 Romeo Lima Whiskey. Here's his email address. Letter S, Harvey, Harvey, so SHARVEY at Blue, BLUE, Island, ISLAND, Tech, TECH.com. I think that's all we'll list. There's other items up there. Again, if there's something there that you are more interested in, you want more information, you need something looked at in more detail, go up to the Ohio Sections webpage or just Google Ohio Sections Swap Shop. You'll find all the information there. And remember, if you got something you want to give, sell, trade, or give away, or if you got a fundraiser in your local club, you can list that on the Ohio Sections Swap Shop. You'll find all the terms and conditions listed at their website. WB8REI. This is the Ohio. This is the North Central Ohio Information Traffic Net. Anybody else would like to check in? Anyone would like a signal report call now? All right, a few things going on here. I just wanted to mention, I thought it was kind of a cool experience this past Friday. I had heard Maui County Civil Defense Reflector, specifically for civil defense. And so I was fortunate enough to communicate with two of the hands out there. One of them was their district emergency coordinator for Maui County. His name was Bill, KH6 uniform. He's got a really interesting background, by the way. You can look these guys up on QRZ. But spoke with Bill, also spoke with Stan, KH6HHG. And so they just kind of gave me the status on that particular Maui County Civil Defense Reflector. The repeaters that were up and running at the time, some of them were down due to the fire, melted fiber optic cables, just a lot of damage. But the status they gave me as far as any health and welfare traffic at the time was, of course, they were dealing with outbound traffic only. They were not taking any inbound traffic. They were operating WinLink, for anybody that's familiar with WinLink. And at the time, they mentioned that they had shelters set up, and that's how they were keeping track of all the different people that were had lost their shelter and lost their homes. They even had their 1-800 Red Cross number and talked a little bit about their HF net, Hawaiian net that they have also. So I guess the only reason I'm really just bringing it up here was it was interesting that I was able to make a contact, and it was excellent. Did it right over IRLP, and got to speak with these two guys that were right there on the island of Maui. Both of those guys were located about 15 to 20 miles to the west of Lahaina. It's just kind of interesting, kind of goes to show you, when a lot of these events happen all over the world, a lot of these catastrophes, that sort of thing, sometimes it's kind of interesting to see on all these different ways that we can connect digitally now, and there are so many ways where you can actually connect into the affected area and get a first-hand account from a ham radio operator of what is actually happening in the area. That's a really, really cool thing. Of course, years past, we always did it on the radio, but a lot of times, if radio propagation isn't good to that area, or you don't have the equipment or the means to do it, these digital methods are available too. So just wanted to pass that along. It was a really nice experience. Both of these gentlemen were great to talk to and gave me lots of good information. So just thought we'd pass that along in the future. If you see any worldwide emergency events and you have various ways to connect digitally, look and see if there's a digital connection into the affected area. However, keep in mind you don't want to cause them a lot of unnecessary traffic. If you're looking for information, I think they're good to go with that. Or if you can help with any information that's beneficial, that sort of thing they're looking for. But just kind of casual, fun type of contact, probably best to keep those to a minimum. And I was looking for status on how they were handling health and welfare traffic at that time, which was Friday. I'm sure it's changed quite a bit since then. All right, before I continue, are there any other stations with or without traffic that would like to check in to the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net? Call now. If you're interested a little bit in that emergency communications on the island of Maui, you can Google the Maui County Civil Defense Reflector, and you can see a little bit about how that's all set up and what kind of communications, amateur radio-wise, they have with the IRLP reflector capability. All right. Wanted to bring up a piece of local information here. fun. If you want to do a little public service and have a good time, hopefully the weather's good. If it's not, you dress accordingly. And a lot of good people to work with. If you happen to volunteer and help out, why they have T-shirts and lunch and that made available for those that do volunteer. Let me give you the specifics here. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to read you an email from the organizer, the ham radio organizer, Jim Yoder, KC8AKE. Jim says, hello to all. This year's cross-country carnival will take place on September the 9th. There has been several changes to the event this year, mainly in the race schedule. The first race shoots at 8:30 a.m. The last race shoots at 2:20 p.m. So if you are interested, either for the entire day or half a day, please contact Jim at his email address, and I'll give you that here in a moment. He says, please plan on reporting by 7:30 a.m. for last-minute questions and assignments. If you're coming in, have your radio tuned to 146.45 simplex. That's the frequency they plan to use. Remember to bring lawn chair, bug spray, suntan lotion, food, drinks, spare batteries, HT, comfortable clothes, jacket, and or rain gear, and anything else you may think that you might need. Again, and if you are interested, I'm going to give you Jim's email address. He'll need your T-shirt size. That way, if he's got it ahead of time, well, that lets him know how many people are going to be helping out, and he can arrange to have the right size T-shirts available. If you have any questions or concerns, he says you can email him. And let's see here. Let's get his address. All right. If you're ready, it's jyoder002 at w0h.rr.com. So again, anyone interested in more information or just wanting to volunteer for the Cross Country Carnival, Saturday, September 9th in Tiffin, Ohio, at Hedges Boyer Park, you'll want to contact Jim Yoder at this email address because he's going to need your T-shirt size, and that helps him to get an idea how many volunteers he'll have. So once again, his email is that's the letter J, YODER002 at WOH.RR.com. Right, and again, I've done it many, many years. I've helped out with the guys out there. It is a good time, good people, wonderful event. I'm sure you'll really enjoy it. So again, if you're interested, make sure you contact Jim there at his email address. WPREI, this is the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. All right, before I continue, I'm going to be looking at some Ohio section stuff. Before I do, are there any other stations that would like to check in? Call now. Let's go here. Got a few other things to cover here. We mentioned last week a little bit about the state of Ohio's turn at the W1AW volunteers on the air event. So it's coming up on our time here in the state of Ohio. And so the Ohio section manager says he'd like to remind everyone that our turn at W1AW/8 is coming up again. It'll be on it'll run from August 30th to September 5th. He says they got to you if you're interested in operating a W1AW/8. So this Wednesday, today, August 16th, at 8 p.m. tonight, there's going to be an Ohio section Zoom call where you can get most of your questions answered. Now, the link to that Zoom call, along with the meeting ID and the passcode, are all at the Ohio Section's latest edition of the Ohio Section News here on page 2. And you can find the link. You can find operation of W1AW/8 at the URL tiny.cc. Again, it's tiny.cc/W1AW8-info. Also, Tom Sly, again, the Ohio section manager, wanted to remind everybody we got a division election that's going to be coming up. He says most sections get less than 20% of their membership to vote in any election. Says, well, it's either because of laziness or apathy, and in most cases it's probably both. He says this is a simple, easy first step at getting involved and making things better. Vote. In September, you'll receive a ballot. You can either fill it out and mail it in, or you can vote online in this election. He says you have to do it. Do you want me to think that you are that lazy? Do you want me to think that you just don't care? Well, be a part of the ARRL, be a part of making it better, and be a part by being involved. Vote. Best regards from Tom Sly, WB8LCD. So that was a little section there on the division election that's going to be coming up. So you ARRL members, when you get that ballot in the mail here in September, make sure you get your vote in. All right. A couple other things going on. This is not in our area, excuse me, but there might be some hands that are listening, and we always like to try to get the word out to help some of these large events. So the Air Force Marathon will be September 16th. It'll run from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. It says registration required during August. Well, let's see what this is about here. Air Force Marathon will be held on Saturday, September 16th. They're forming a team of ham radio volunteers to support the event by operating several networks for logistics, medical information, monitoring and tracking of runners, shadowing of race officials, and support of finish line operations. Says we need in excess of 60 volunteers to make all of this happen. Now, as this is being written, only 75% of the required number of volunteers have signed up. We could use your help. Most of the race takes place at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, which has a couple of security complications. Registrations need to be completed before the end of August, and race day entry to the base requires arrival by 5:30 a.m. to accommodate ID checks and road closures. So to volunteer, you can go to their webpage, usafmarathon.com/volunteer, and select volunteer now. You will be redirected to the portal at raceroster.com, where you will need to create an account, select volunteer, and sign in. Select pull-down list under volunteer with us, scroll down and select volunteer on Saturday, September 16th, 2023. Continue to scroll down and fill out the required information. Be sure to include your call sign in the appropriate box. Below that box, under amateur radio operator, click the box for add to order. Continue to the bottom of the page, select your t-shirt size. Continue to submit your registration. So that's a mouthful. Also, please report that you have signed in by sending a message with your name and call sign to afm.hams@gmail.com. Now, if you got questions, geez, who wouldn't? Use afm.hams.gmail.com. As the race date nears, you will receive an invitation to a training section and a link to the training materials, assignment list, and communications plan. It sounds like a pretty in-depth operation. So if you're interested, Bob Baker, November 8, Alpha Delta Oscar, is the Greene County Emergency Coordinator, volunteer lead for amateur radio support for the Air Force Marathon. So that sounds like quite an operation. So if you're into, that sort of thing, why, it's on page 6 of the Ohio Section News, because you're going to need some of that information contact information repeated again, I'm sure. But they're looking for some help. They got about 3/4 of the volunteers they need, so they can use some more. Let's identify here. This is WBREI. This is the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. All right, coming up, won't be too long down the road. We keep talking about it, but we have to. We're here in Ohio, right? We're talking about the Ohio QSO Party. Mark it on your calendars if you haven't already. The Ohio QSO Party is on August 26th. If you want more information on the rules, how to operate, logging, all that sort of thing, just Google their webpage, Ohio QSO Party. You'll find all the details there. According to these guys, the QSO Party guys, it's a friendly atmosphere. It's a laid-back competition. It's a chance to connect with old friends around the state, make for great club competitions, both between club members and between local club members. It's a great activity for new contesters. It's a more laid-back atmosphere than a lot of the higher-pressure major contests. It's both single sideband and CW options to work, shorter duration contests, and many opportunities throughout the year. So again, it's coming up. It'll be August 26th, the Ohio QSO Party. Google it, look it up, check it out, and operate. I guarantee you'll really, really enjoy it. Everybody's looking for you, the Ohio station. So you're the rear DX that day. Taking a look at some parts here. Bill AJ8B, he does the section called DX this week in the Ohio section news. He does a nice interview with a gentleman, Ham, Sierra Victor 1 Oscar Alpha. Couldn't quite get that out. And if you're interested in the interview, check it out on the Ohio section's website, at the Ohio section's latest news on page 20. Bill always does a great interview, and they're always interesting. You learn a lot about working DX. But one of the things I wanted to mention here this morning, with regard to some of Bill's information, had to do with Q signals. Most of you know what QRN and QRM are. I'll read through them again here real quick. But maybe some of you have never heard of DQRM. So I'm going to talk about that just briefly here. So first, QRN is a Q signal used to indicate atmospheric noise, such as lightning. It's also used for man-made interference, such as LED lights, bug zappers, or any other source of interference that's essentially static. That would be QRN. So QRM is used to indicate interference, such as someone calling on top of the station you're talking to. Many times it's an accident, but many times there are hams who would rather operate anonymously than talk over a transmission, play music, or even rebroadcast news or sports. So now you know the difference between QRM and QRN. QRN, by the way, is not illegal. That's just natural noise. However, QRM usually is. That leads us into this new mnemonic. It's called DQRM, and that represents deliberate QRM. And this is such an issue that the Northern California DX Foundation has set up a grant to challenge hams to find a solution. So at their website, they have this listed. The Northern California DX Foundation recognizes the negative aspect of deliberate QRMers are having on our hobby. Matter of fact, I think they experienced a lot of deliberate QRM during the Beauvais expedition. California DX Foundation's Board of Directors at their latest board meeting allocated $100,000 to help develop solutions. The Northern California DX Foundation will entertain grant proposals from individuals and/or groups to specifically outline their approach to identify bad actors. So a group of directors led by Craig Thompson, Kilo 9 Charlie Tango, and Don Greenbaum, November 1 Delta Golf, will weigh their probability of success of these proposals as well as monitor the progress of the grantees. Now, funding is available for R&D as well as implementation of the technology. It is hoped that manufacturers will also assist us with equipment and resources. That's the end of that part. Now, that's indicative of the scope of the problem. They say they certainly hope that a solution could be found, and they say thanks. So, very interesting. Again, I know when I try to, or we're listening into the Bove D expedition, you heard a lot of what appeared to be deliberate interference, deliberate QRMers. So maybe the Northern California DX Foundation's grant to those that are interested in trying to come up with some ways to help to eliminate or track who's doing that will be really beneficial. So we'll keep an eye on that. When we hear any more information, we'll be sure to pass it along. This is WBREI, the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Lots of DX expeditions that'll be going on. Wanted to mention one, a long-awaited one called Swains Island. The Swains Island DX expedition is confirmed for October 4th to the 17th. Been a long-awaited DX expedition. The original operation was planned for 2020, but was postponed due to the global COVID-19 pandemic. A contract's been signed with the island's proprietor. A sailing vessel has been reserved, and many corporate, organizational, and individual sponsors, led by the German DX Foundation, are supporting the effort. Antenna construction and testing is well underway. 10 operators will keep 6 well stations on the air around the clock on CW single sideband RTTY and FT8 160 through 6 meters. The team leader is Hans, Delta Lima 6, Juliet Golf November, and the co-team leader is Ronald, Papa Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Papa. Swains Island, also known as Olahega, is an atoll in the Toklo chain, the most northwesterly island administered by American Samoa. Says although culturally belonging to Tokelau, politically it is a territory of the United States, and it's number 27 on the Club Log DXCC's most wanted list. Be ready, you guys that like the word DX. October 4th through the 15th. It'll be the Swains Island DX expedition. Should be a fun one. WBREI and the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Anyone that would like to check in, anybody that would like a signal report, call now. Follow-up on the Voyager 2. I think last week we talked about the loss of communications with Voyager 2 because of misalignment of the antenna. Well, so we got some good news here. 2 degrees of separation stood between NASA's Voyager 2 spacecraft and its ability to communicate with the Earth due to a faulty command in July to change the critical orientation of its antenna. But now that's been fixed from a distance of more than 12 billion miles. Long shot, as long as the stretch of 12 billion miles, but NASA's Deep Space Network sent a command from its highest power transmitter in Canberra, Australia, in an attempt to correct a 2-degree shift in the antenna that had knocked the space probe out of contact with Earth last month. And it says their attempt worked. The space agency took a literal shot in the dark on Wednesday, August 2nd, but believed it was essential to reestablish communications with the probe, which was launched into interstellar space 46 years ago. Wow, there's probably people on here that ain't even that old yet. The command traveled the distance, taking more than 18 hours to deliver its message. And another 18 and a half hours after that, NASA was celebrating its success. So NASA compared the transmission to an interstellar shout, one that worked. The agency said in an update afterward that Voyager 2 had returned to normal operation, sending science and telemetry data as before. It is expected to remain on its intended trajectory. So good news. I bet that made those people very happy at NASA. Very interesting. All right, we're getting kind of late along here. Let's take a look at, for those of you that aren't out aware, we've kind of been following the Kenwood TS-450. And looking at the schematic, and again, the goal here is not so much for me to do a lot of talking, but for you guys to maybe pull up the schematic diagram for the Kenwood TS-450. Today we're specifically looking at the phase lock loop board. And if you can, if you find, Google Kenwood TS-450 service manual, there are a lot of links to that service manual. You can find one maybe in a PDF format. And I'm looking at page 150, which is the schematic of the phase lock loop unit for the Kenwood TS-450. So that's what we're looking at today. And all we wanted to do is have you a little bit of practice. Look at the schematic. See if you can identify any component, whether it's a transistor, an integrated circuit, a resistor, a capacitor, a variable capacitor, or whatever. Identify it and point it out to us, and we'll put you down for a point towards a lotto card if you get the 4 points. So, along with that schematic, which is on page 150 of the TS-450 service manual, it's good to look at the block diagram also for the phase lock loop unit. And that's on the manual I'm looking at. It would be on page 7. Is the complete phase lock loop block diagram. Very helpful because in order to get the big picture, you need to look at the block diagram. And then when you're ready to go down into the specific details of the actual component level search, then you'll want to look at the schematic on page 150. All right, so hopefully, maybe we've given anybody that's interested enough time to bring up the service manual, find the schematic on the phase lock unit of the Kenwood TS-450. And if you'd like to, we'll just take a list or compile a list here, and then we'll go around and see what component you're going to identify here for us. And it doesn't even have to be that. If you have a question, or maybe there's something you want to describe or clarify, anything really, any input will get you credit. 1 point. So at this time, anybody that would like to get on the list, call now. KE8PX. Oh, Ron, you saved me. KE8PX. I got you down, Ron. Stand by. Anybody else? Anybody? Just Google Kenwood TS-450 service manual. And again, I think the schematic, well, at least on my manual, it's on page 150 for the phase lock loop unit. Just identify any part on there that you recognize All right, Ron, you are on the list. Thank you for volunteering again. And there may be some others that might be looking at it. Hopefully, it's a good opportunity to just kind of follow along on a diagram and again, review some of the things that you learned in the past on identifying schematic symbols. KE8PX, Ron, what do you got for us?
I'm looking at the extreme top left corner where the input, it says it's the, wow, hard to read, CAR dash or -5, 5 volt power source, I believe. And then to the right of that and down there's Kings
System
7 and 8. And those are really strange looking. Well, they got like internal resistors, 10K resistors, evidently inside the transistor. Now, unless those are just like boxes around little circuits, but I wondered if those resistors are actually internal inside the transistor. Looks like they're all PNPs. Internal inside the transistor. So it would be, looks like they're all NPNs. They're all NPNs. So I don't know, what is that? Why did they have that box NPN inside the transistor? Or is it out? Is it like a little network over?
All right, really good questions, Ron. And I'm looking at my schematic of the phase lock loop unit, and I identified those items that you pointed out. So before I talk about you mentioned those transistors with the resistors, I'll just comment quick on the connector you mentioned in the very top left. And so that's an obvious, it shows it's 3 pins. One pin goes to chassis ground on the board, and the other 2 pins provide, pin 1 provides the 8 volts to this phase lock loop board, and the other provides 5 volts to this phase lock loop board. And it looks like they originate from another board called the carrier board. I believe that's what the CAR-5 means. They actually originate over on another board called the carrier board. And so that's all that 3-pin connector does. It provides the interconnection for ground, and then it supplies the 5 volts and the 8 volts that are needed for all these components on this phase lock loop board. And so very good on that. Now, all right, so now on the other question. Actually, observation you made. Yeah, here's what's really interesting. So anybody that's following along, hopefully you've identified Q6, Q7, and Q8 in the top left portion of the schematic diagram of the phase lock loop board for the Kenwood TS450. And so Ron was inquiring about those. There's a square box that encompasses the NPN transistor schematic symbol, along with a 10K base transistor and a 10K biasing transistor between the emitter and the base. And Ron was asking whether or not that's external to the actual device itself, or is it internal to the specific transistor. And so the really best way to answer that would be to look at the part number Delta Tango Charlie 114EK. That's the manufacturer's part number, and Google it, Google the spec sheet, and I'm sure it will describe that for you there. I would be willing to tell you that is included in the transistor itself. It's actually built right into it, those 2 10K biasing resistors. It's part of the manufacturing process, and it's all included in that little NPN transistor. Excuse me, in this case, these transistors are used as electronic switches. All they do is when a logic voltage of 5 volts is applied to the base NPN transistor, which then turns on the selected VCO, which one of those three VCOs gets enabled. That's what those are for. And so, because all they're doing is providing a real basic switching function, turn on, turn off, you always need biasing resistors to set up a little on-off circuit with an NPN transistor. So in this case, it's beautiful. They just included it right in the little surface-mounted device. So you don't need external biasing resistors. They're included right in the package. Hopefully, make sure I wasn't doubling with you. Hopefully that clarifies it again. I haven't looked, but if anybody's out there following along, if you Google the manufacturer's part number, Delta Tango Charlie 114 Echo Kilo, and look up their spec sheet, I'm sure that it actually points that out. You should be able to see it. I haven't looked at it myself. Anyway, that's really good observations, Ron. And I know when we study schematic symbols for our ham radio test, I don't recall anywhere where they ever showed you a schematic symbol for an NPN transistor along with two biasing resistors encased, in this case, in a square, which tells you it's all in one device. So quite often you'll run across different schematic symbols that you've never seen before. They may be either newer components or newer technology, something along that line. That's why it's always good to look at the spec sheet. But I'm pretty sure that's the case. Back to you, Ron.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that does answer my question. And I have the data sheet coming up for that right now. And, oh boy. Yeah, it's, description is an NPN 100 milliamp 50 volt digital transistor. And it says with built-in resistors. So it is indeed a configuration. So yeah, it is a packet type digital transistor. Right on, Jeff.
All right. It's nice to be nice, but nice to be correct most of the time, or some of the time. Anyway, what a better way. See, if you ever have questions on those schematic symbols or any component in these service manuals, well, you can't beat. Just Google the manufacturer's part number, followed by the word spec sheet, and of course, you'll find all the detailed information, everything you'll want to know and more about that particular device. And so, very good, Ron. You pointed that out. Good observation. And again, that is the purpose of each one of those three transistors is they turn on, whichever one of those transistors gets turned on, it provides the ground to turn on or enable the VCO that is needed. And of course, that all depends on what band you're operating on. All right. Anybody else out there that's listening? It can be really simple, man. Just pick out a component anywhere on the schematic. All right, well, we'll give others an opportunity to just kind of look at their diagrams or concentrate there if you are. Again, it's a great opportunity just to learn a little bit about reading schematic diagrams, that sort of thing. So don't hesitate to chime in here. And again, you get a chance to win a lottery ticket. Man, it could be your ticket to paradise. Who knows? All right. A couple other things I was going to mention here with regard to the phase lock loop board, and we touched on it a little bit last week. This particular phase lock And then the local oscillator 2 injection frequency is always 64.22 megahertz. And then depending on what frequency you would have dialed in on your radio determines the specific first injection frequency for local oscillator 1. But the reason I'm just bringing this up, it's kind of interesting and sort of fun to see if you can hear or pick up on a receiver your local oscillators or your reference oscillators that are running in your radio. If you've never done that before, it's kind of an interesting thing to try. Now that's assuming that you have a receiver that will hear that specific frequency. Now, in the case of this phase lock loop board, it has a reference oscillator that runs at 20 megahertz. You have a radio, another radio or a receiver, and you tune it to 20 megahertz, and then take the antenna, a coaxial cable from the antenna, and hold it real close to that radio. You should be able to pick up the 20 megahertz signal. If it's strong enough, you don't need to take the cover off the radio. In this case, the TS450. You should be able to sniff it right out of the air. Try it if you have a Kenwood TS450 and you got another receiver. Just tune that receiver to 20 megahertz and see if you can hear the reference oscillator at 20 megahertz. While you're at it, see if you can sniff the second local oscillator injection frequency. Now that one's going to be a little tricky because its frequency is 64.22 megahertz. And it's a little tricky to find a receiver that will tune to that frequency. If you got a piece of test equipment, you can sniff it right out of the air. There are some ways, but it gets you got to do some hunting around to find a receiver that will tune to 64.22 megahertz. That's actually in the 5-meter band, of which we're trying to get a part of that, by the way. We got the 6-meter band, and here in the United States we're working on getting in the 5-meter band, and that would be a frequency in that band. Anyway, if you had something to receive 64.22 megahertz, you could see if you can hear it. Hold it up close to that Kenwood TS450 and see if you can sniff it out of the air. That lets you know that oscillator, second injection oscillator, is actually running. The last thing I was going to mention here, I just thought it was interesting. You know, when we talked to Jim last week in AQQI, he was talking about going through a little part of the alignment. There's quite a bit of alignment in this radio. Specifically, the alignment of the VCOs. There's 3 of them on the main phase lock loop board. And only one of them gets turned on at a time. Just depends on what band or what frequency you're operating on. I was going to bring up here this morning was it's a nice service manual. If you look at page 120 of the service manual, you'll see the actual alignment instructions for those 3 VCOs, along with VCO number 2, by the way. And it's a very simple alignment. If you also are looking at page 127, you'll see a pictorial diagram of the phase lock loop unit board. You'll actually see a picture, and it lists. It's a picture of the alignment coils and the test points. It's just a little exercise in kind of looking at an alignment instruction and looking at where you got to put your test equipment. And so that's kind of what we're doing here this morning. If you were to want to align the VCO, the very first VCO, VCO-A, you would set the front, assuming that your receiver's operational, Jim's is not, but if it was operational, you would set the receiver to 0.03 megahertz or 30 kilohertz. You would take your high impedance DC voltmeter and put it on test point 2, located on the phase loop board. radio tuned to 30 kilohertz, the very low bottom end of your receiver. And when you do that, you should be measuring 2.5 volts DC. If you're not, you can adjust a coil, L5. You can see it right on that drawing on page 127, L5. Or you can find L5 in the schematic if you want to drill way down into the detail. But you adjust that coil. It has a slug in it. You got to be careful because they crack.
Thanks, dog.
The slug does. Turn it very slowly, and you want to adjust that to see 2.5 volts DC.
Never a dull moment in this shack.
Assuming you're successful at that, then what you want to do now is you want to tune the receiver to 10.490 megahertz. Now all I'm doing, I'm literally reading or following the alignment instructions in the manual for the VCO. So now you tune your radio receiver to 10.49 megahertz, and now you just look at that DC voltmeter, which is connected to test point 2 on the phase lock loop board. It should read 7 volts or less. It should read somewhere between, it should read 7 volts or less than 7 volts. So if you've accomplished that, then that first VCO is aligned properly. It will track properly. The alignment instructions for the remaining 2 VCOs, and if you have the 6-meter capability radio, there's actually 4 total VCOs. The exact same instructions. Only now you tune the front of the radio to do the very next VCO. Now you tune to 10.5 megahertz. You're looking at test point 2 with your DC voltmeter, and you're going to adjust coil L7 for 2.5 volts DC. Once you're successful at that, you're going to tune the receiver all the way up to 21.49 megahertz, and you're just going to look at the voltmeter reading. It should be 7 volts or less. It's the same procedure for the remaining 2 VCOs. Although all you got to do though is you got to tune to the other part of the band. So the next VCO you have to tune the radio to 21.5, and you adjust L9 for 2.5 volts. Then you tune the radio to 40.49 megahertz, and it should be 7 volts or less. And then you have the same routine for if you get the 6-meter capability. Here you dial in 60 megahertz. You adjust L11 for 6.9 volts, and tune up to 40.5 megahertz. And in this case, it should be 2.5 volts or more. So that's the alignment instruction. That's kind of how you do that on the phase lock loop board. There's all the alignment instructions for how to adjust and check the local oscillator 2, or VCO 2, excuse me. Get the local oscillator junction frequency that's generated on through that board. The reference oscillator itself that runs at 20 megahertz. It tells you how you can adjust it if it's off. However, you need an accurate frequency counter to adjust the reference oscillator. It tells you what test points to put it on. They're actually on the carrier board. And then the adjustment is made with a trimmer cap on the phase lock loop board. And that's a trimmer cap TC1. And you can see TC1 on the very bottom left-hand corner of the schematic diagram of the phase lock loop board. Right, very good. Ryan, we got you down for another point. Hopefully some others took a little bit of time and followed along. Just try to learn something, have a little bit of fun and learn something. We'll continue on next week. I think next week we'll take a look at the power amp, the actual HF power amp. Now there's also another power amp in there to cover the other bands, but we're going to look at the HF power amp next week. So if you got a little time, you can check that out. Before we close, I wanted to mention just a little reminder. Dan's going to update us on it as we get actually closer because we're a little ways away yet, but I thought I'd mention it. time. But here's a little information that I think you'll find interesting about the solar eclipse that we're going to experience. We are going to be right in the path of totality, just about everybody in this listening area. So areas in Ohio that are outside of the path of totality, which we won't be, will experience a partial eclipse. A total solar eclipse is a rare and spectacular event. On average, one happens somewhere on the Earth only once every 1.5 years. Now, only 21 total solar eclipses have crossed the lower 48 states in the entire existence of the United States. Only 21. So you're probably wondering, well, wow, what was the last one? Well, the last total solar eclipse visible in Ohio was in 1806. Now, the next total solar eclipse in Ohio will be, other than the one coming up here next year, will be in the year 2099, and I think we'll all be gone by then. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, check it out. There are all kinds of interesting scientific experiments. There are even solar eclipse QSO parties going on that are put on by the Hamside group. You can go to Hamside's webpage and find out all about it and how you can participate in the solar eclipse that's coming up in April of next year. Now, there is also a partial solar eclipse coming up this year, October 14th. We, here in Ohio, are not in that path, but places in the western United States and southwest will be. So you might hear a little bit about that. All right, all that being said, don't forget this weekend, geez, there's all kinds of contests going on. Of course, the North American QSO party. Now, this weekend will be the single sideband contest. I know Ron was at the CW contest and did really well, even with a big solar flare that hit. So again, August 19th and 20th, North American single sideband QSO party. Check out the rules, go to their website, find out how it operates. And as Bob mentioned on Special Event Station, this weekend is the International Lighthouse Lightship Weekend. A lot of fun, super interesting. I think you'll enjoy it. Check it out. You can Google International Lighthouse Lightship and find out where all those different locations might be. Maybe work a few, learn a little bit about some geography, get some nice QSL cards, and just have a little bit of fun. It's a wonderful weekend for operating those special events. So again, International Lighthouse Lightship Weekend, be all this weekend, August 19th through the 20th. Gives us 1 week to rest up for the Ohio QSO party. That'll be August 26th and 27th. We'll talk more about that next Wednesday. All right, before I close, are there any other late check-ins or anybody with any announcements, questions, or queries for the net? And again, the announcements don't have to be amateur-related. Call now.
Hey, QQ Live, what page was that you was on for the instructions how to do this adjustment?
Hi, Jim. The alignment instructions for the phase lock loop and the other board called the carrier board are on page 120. On page 120. It's actually item number 6 on that page. You'll see it. It says DCO. And then you'll see the actual alignment instructions for doing that. Page 127 in the manual, Jim, has an actual picture. It's just a drawing, really, of the physical phase lock loop board, and it shows all those coils and where they're located, as well as the test points and where they're located on the board, so it makes it easier to locate them. Back to you.
Okay, you said page 120.
I said stay there.
That's correct. Page 120. That's correct.
I think maybe that was the adjustments that Kevin made on that 450 and that radio come back to life. You found one or two of them was out a little bit. And he tuned them, dialed them in, and that radio come back to life.
Yeah, I would venture to say you're probably exactly correct on that, Jim. He was talking about those adjustments. And so that's fairly straightforward. All you need to do, the nice thing is you don't even need a scope or anything. Just a DC voltmeter. It's got, a high impedance DC voltmeter, not a DC. And just find test point 2 on the board, on the phase lock loop unit board. It shows you right on page 127 where it's located, test point 2. Connect your negative lead to chassis ground and connect your positive lead to test point 2. Of course, you're not going to be able to see, you're not going to be able to dial in the frequencies for the various VCOs because it's not operational. But what you can do is you can just look to see, you should have a minimum of 2.5 volts. It should be somewhere between 2.5 and 7 volts. And if not, I mean, it's up to you if you decide you want to tweak it or not. It's strange that not a single one of those VCOs would be operating, but it gets a little involved, depending on what failed in the radio. It can get a little bit tricky, but yeah, I would venture to say those are the alignments that the guy in the video was talking about.
The groundskeepers are here.
Like you able to get a hold of it and
I wonder if that's getting in the video.
confirm that with him.
That's fun, isn't it?
And you can describe to him, in the, what we just talked about there, and touch base with him, see what he says. Again, it's a good opportunity to experiment around. Anybody that's got an old radio or a radio that's not working, it's laying in your junk pile or whatever, it's a great way to tear something apart, dig into it a little bit, see if you can measure some oscillators that are running, make some DC voltage measurements. Try and follow a diagram, the pictorial and the schematic, see if you can identify where things are located. It's just a really, really good thing to do, on a whole another aspect of amateur radio. I mean, that's what gives us the opportunity to build and experiment with radios is because we know how to do, or we try to learn how to do those kind of things. So have fun with that. Yeah, Jim, shoot him that information and see what he says. I'm pretty confident those are the adjustments he would have made.
Yeah, I'll see if I can run him down on YouTube and get his call. Get his call or yours in and see if I can get an address and an email or something. I wish I could find my manuals. I looked the other day, I couldn't find my manuals. I got them here now somewhere. They got pulled off pages and the schematics and everything. See the schematic here on the laptop here. I can see. Only read what's there.
Talk louder, Jim, please.
Interesting. Oh man, I'll tell you what. If you can find your manual, actual service manual for the TS450, that's awesome. It's actually a really good service manual, and I say that because it identifies components and boards really well. It has an explanation, a technical explanation. It seems to have a pretty thorough alignment set of instructions. It is a complex radio, but a lot of it, I'm going to say modularized. What I mean is the major components, like the phase lock loop, is just one board. And then you have all the interconnecting cabling and that sort of thing. But yeah, if you had another old radio or spare parts, spare boards, you could start narrowing down just by swapping boards out. And then once you found the defective board, assuming it was only one problem, then you can start drilling down onto that board to find out what component or components were causing you issues. It's a challenge, there's no doubt about that. But I know what you mean about trying to follow the diagrams on the internet. It's difficult on your computer screen. There's nothing better than having a service manual where you can fold the pages out and really look at everything right in front of you. I agree 100% with you on that. Anyway, good luck. We're going to cover the power amp next week, Jim, in this radio.
Go ahead.
help up find manuals for that. Like I said, I can't
Ooh, that's
make out
nice.
the diagram.
Carpenter ant.
What they're supposed to look like or anything on this little laptop. But, appreciate your help there in this video. It ain't in the junk pile. It'll never be in the junk pile. It's my first HF rig, and
Lay down.
I care too much for
Lay
it.
down. God, dog. You're a fucking pain in the ass.
Hey, 5 minutes, Jimmy. I know you mean sometimes the old radios are like old cars or whatever. You get really attached to them. And, yeah, you know, definitely not a whole lot of help in repairing your radio. But at least, you know, we have a little bit of fun in identifying some components, looking at the service manual, just kind of going through things and experiencing that, you know, what's all involved. And it gets tricky, you know, it takes a lot of experience sometimes to be able to repair those kinds of problems. But to me, it sure doesn't hurt when you got an old radio sitting around or one that don't work. Why hesitate? Just, you know, dig into it, see what you can learn, and who knows, sometimes you can even correct or repair a problem. There's nothing better, you know, the feeling of satisfaction of being able to repair your own piece of equipment, that's for sure. Okay, so next week we'll look at the HF power amp and the Kenwood TS450. So anybody interested, get that manual out and have it in front of you. Jim, I'm putting you down for a point, so you and Ron got a point this week too. All right, any other comments or queries, anything, announcements before we close? Call now.
KEAPX announcement.
Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, this weekend, as if there's not enough stuff going on, the W8ID Radio Club is having a Parks on the Air activation, club activation under the W8ID call sign at the Van Buren State Park, and I think it's at the northeast corner. I'd have to look again and see what corner it is, but it's right on the lake, and it's they're going to be operating, setting up and operating between 9 and noon this Saturday morning at Van Buren State Park. So you can bring your rig, you can bring your antenna, you can just come up and show up and have a little bit of fun. So that's this weekend at 9 o'clock, 9 to noon, Van Buren State Park, W8ID. Parks on the Air QSO party, how about that? KEPX. Thanks for doing that, Jeff. I really enjoy it. That'd be great.
All right, Ron, fine business. Well, thank you for the announcement. I heard the guys talking about that, and you know, I wish I should have had that in front of me. I would have loved to announce it. I'm glad you did. Thank you for jumping in here and bringing that to our attention. Gosh, I'll be looking for those guys and try to work them on Parks on the Air there. We're close, so it'll be a little tricky on HF, but you never know. I think we can do it. We've done it before with some guys up in Sandusky. All right, thanks, Ron. Really appreciate it. And yeah, good luck to W8ID Radio Club there on their Club Park on the Air activation there at Van Buren State Park this Saturday, 9 a.m. to noon. Be listening for them. Thank you, Ron. Anybody else? Anything? All right, that's it. Let's wrap it up. Thanks to Bob. Thanks to Lenny. Thanks to Pat. Thanks to Ron. Thanks to all you guys that checked in here this week. You guys make it a great net. We'll be here again next week. Lots of fun stuff going on the radio here this weekend, so get on there. North American QSO Party, single sideband. Parks on the Air from W8ID, and Lighthouses are also, the Lighthouses special events are going to be on all this weekend also, so should be a good time to get on the radio. 73s, everybody, have a good lunch. WBREI, and the net are now clear. Take care.
right, November 8, X-Ray Lima, Quebec, signing out of the YouTube program. See you next weekend, gang. And check yourself out. I'll do that too then. November 8. Okay. 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 I wonder what that is. Huh. All right. There's some craziness going on around here. November 8, X-Ray Lima, Quebec.